This week, we finally got to see the new Frankenstein film written and directed by Guillermo del Toro. Netflix shelled out a substantial $120 million for this latest version of Frankenstein, and it's all on screen. The film looks amazing with big set pieces so breathtaking, you would assume they were computer generated, because they are. This movie's being lauded as like the champion of practical filmmaking, and it's ironic because when you watch it, the filmmakers who produced Frankenstein take every digital shortcut possible. It's full of CGI and digital bullshit.
I did look into this, and it is an interesting point. You know, nowadays everything's been like, no CGI, no CGI.
If you work in VFX, fuck you.
Essentially. They want people to believe in the project. They want people to be grounded and think everything is real because that brings it more into reality. It's not a cartoon anymore, which is what computer graphics are. They're cartoons in a computer, yeah, they're simulations and stuff, but in order to emotionally invest, producers want people to believe that everything they're seeing is a reality. And the truth is, it's never been. What you see on screen is a fake. But back in the day, before computers, you did have to somehow produce that image. Whether a painting, a real painting on a piece of glass that you put in front of the camera, or you had to build some sort of miniature. You had to think creatively and do something within the realm of possibility. And now, you know, CGI feels cheap because it is a cartoon. That's not to say it's cheap, because it's very expensive and it's very hard to make things look as good as they do in a computer. Like, we've come so far with computer technology. But to completely dispel it and say we don't use any CGI is very dishonest. And it sweeps VFX artists under the rug.
Yeah, and there's a place for it, but this movie, it does a lot of practical stuff and spend a lot of money on big set stuff, and then there's just lots of unnecessary CGI in it. It didn't need to do that.
Right.
And it makes the movie look like a Disney movie.
It does kind of cheapen it.
Like, I did not need to see little mice running up Frankenstein's sleeve.
The funny thing is,
it's bizarre.
The funny thing is, they also had shots with real mice, but I couldn't tell you when that was.
I can tell you when that mouse goes up Frankenstein's arm like Song of the South, that's not a real mouse. My opinion isn't that CG is terrible and should never be used. It's just that I'm pointing out the irony. This whole movie's been marketed off of being practical. It's filled with shitty CG.
Yes.
But also, I mean, fire and blood and things that could have been done practically are done with CG in this movie.
Sure.
And there's also, like, a lot of people are very upset about all the sky replacement and just the movie being overall very fake looking.
You look at the first Frankenstein, it was very, stylized. You had big weird shadows, big crazy sets that didn't really make sense, but it was a stylistic choice and it did work for it. I think the main critique you're having here is that despite having real sets and real props and real makeup and, as many real things as they could, including a real ship, et cetera, they augmented pretty much everything with additional flourishes that sort of somehow cheapened all the effort that they went into the practical side.
No, you're not wrong. A lot of these CG animals just felt completely unnecessary, and they really stood out like a sore thumb.
CG deer didn't need to be CG. I'm sure you could find a deer, but also maybe not, for the time. And you have $120 million. You can get a deer. You can get an acting deer.
And part of it also, too, with all the set extensions, is like this whole movie shot on wide lenses.
24 millimeter was the lens they shot for like 80% of the film or something.
It's a lot of it is shot on wide lenses and a lot of set extensions, and it makes the whole thing feel like a fucking Disney movie. I was almost like, oh man, I'm glad Guillermo del Toro's the guy who got to remake Frankenstein, but it might as well have been Tim Burton.
Yeah, sure.
And I was thinking about Robert Edgar's Nosferatu because, I don't know, maybe I might think that Frankenstein as a story is a little bit more of a rewatchable narrative than the Nosferatu film. But the Nosferatu film was shot so much better and directed so much better.
Maybe better, yeah, maybe better. I was more invested into Nosferatu as far as the cinematography goes because they used a lot of long takes, a lot of panning shots, a lot of interesting stuff. This one used a lot of like flowy cameras, big crane shots, and we were constantly moving, which added to that like sort of
Surreal,
ethereal,
kind
like
of bigger than life.
Like a video game almost. almost, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's like, how could you impossibly do this camera move? And it no longer felt like I was the camera, you know? I was now a floating entity through this thing, and it wasn't grounding, you know? By choice, though, because most of that was during Victor's retelling of the past. Like, it's his memory that we are seeing, and so that's why it's flowy and sort of fabricated in a way.
Yeah, I mean, some of it looks great, and then there's other times where I thought it looked so kind of phony. And it's kind of ironic that they spent so much money and built these big sets.
Only to make it look so...
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the Prelude, but just like the look of the Prelude... It looks like Polar Express. The acting was good, the pacing was good, but the film still felt a little bit on the nose and a little bit boring. Overall, I thought it was enjoyable adaptation of the source material, but it felt a little too much like a Guillermo del Toro movie, right down to the scenes of women having weird sexual tension with monsters. He really loves that shit.
He really does. I think Guillermo, he loves monsters, and his movies aren't horror films about monsters. They're love stories about monsters, he projects his love of monsters. You know, that's his direction. That's how it goes. And so, yeah, there's literally stories about loving monsters.
I bet his big regret in life is not directing Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, yeah? Why?
Because he would have loved to do a scene of a werewolf banging a woman.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Probably a bucket list shoot. But it's kind of been done, I mean.
Yeah, you can't do it now.
No, now be a pastiche at this point, right?
I don't know, though. Maybe, you know. I bet he could make I bet people would see a werewolf movie where it's just 2 hours.
I guess he kind of did it with the Gilman
werewolf sex
movie.
Yeah.
But I, you know, at the end of the day, I guess I'm glad that Guillermo del Toro remade this and not like Tim Burton.
Right.
But perhaps it would have been better in the hands of like a Robert Eggers. You look at Nosferatu and you look at this Frankenstein, it's like the two different ways you can go about it.
Right.
The more art house way and the more kind of general audience way.
Right.
And I don't know, I didn't love Nosferatu, but I thought the filmmaking was better.
I thought it was just Frankenfine, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't Stankenstein, but it also wasn't Crankenstein, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hell, it wasn't even Dankenstein. I enjoyed watching it. I thought, like you said, it was a little bit cliche, a little bit on the nose at times.
It's a little bit too romantic.
A little bit ham-fisted, maybe, you know? Just like... Not to, spoiler alert, Frankenstein coming in and be like, now let me tell you my story. You know, it kind of was like, oh, you may be wondering how I got here, but.
Yeah, I just think like a lot of the reviews and stuff that I've seen in this movie so far are just like really overhype it. It's getting like really treated with kids' gloves.
Sure.
But it's okay.
It's accessible. It's an accessible version of Frankenstein that we kind of really haven't seen before. And again, like you said, Guillermo clearly loves creatures. And his versions are love stories to these creatures, and because of that, I think that's a lot of people's problem with it. You know?
Yeah.
Frankenstein typically has been a grotesque and disgusting creature. That's why Victor Frankenstein hides it in the basement and stuff. Here, it just kind of, it's almost
He looks like a 6'5" underwear model.
Frankentwink. Yeah, you know.
I wouldn't even call him a twink. He's a big fucking strapping
twunk
stud. Maybe a twunk. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And so that comes across, yeah, it's definitely a love story to Frankenstein. I think it is very Guillermo, and it could be a con to some, but I think if you like his stuff, you'll probably like this movie.
I was very impressed with the film's prelude because the portrayal of the monster in the beginning is brutal and terrifying, which is kind of exactly what you want from a modern Frankenstein film. There's been so many versions of Frankenstein in popular culture that have been like goofy and silly. You kind of lose sight of him as an actual like scary monster. That's an important part of this. So I thought that was pretty good.
The monsters and however, you know, he's just become like a silly, got bolt in the neck, he's staggering around.
This felt like a cultural reset for Frankenstein, which it really needed. Jacob Elordi pulls off being both a brutal monster and a sympathetic victim of circumstances. The character design in general, I thought was kind of disappointing. The monster, like I said, he looks like a fucking underwear model.
Yeah, he's not
not very scary or nasty.
He doesn't even have stitches. He's just,
Yeah, it's kind of, it looks exactly like the alien from Prometheus. It's almost like a perfect man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I think that was the intention again, but also, does it work for Frankenstein? If I saw the perfect man on the street with some like weird skin issue.
Like a put together.
Would I say, oh shit, shoot that guy with my musket? You know?
Yeah. And then also, I thought it was really weird that he only had one nipple. Did you notice that?
I didn't. Wow.
So like he's stitched together, perfectly. He's supposed to be this perfect created being, but only one nipple? You couldn't find another nipple in that pile of Crimean soldiers?
Maybe not. They're hard to come by. Nipples are the first thing to go bad in a frostbite.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Maybe.
What'd you think of the character design?
Maybe.
I also thought Frankenstein being able to regenerate his flesh like Wolverine was very stupid. The idea of him not being able to die is a cool idea, and that totally works for this like monster. And also, more bad CG of him like his flesh regenerating looked terrible.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise you could potentially shoot him to death, right? If he was just a couple of chunks on the floor who couldn't regenerate.
You could like cut him up.
Yeah, exactly.
That might be hard to do because he's a big lumbering monster.
Right. With adamantium bones.
Yeah. There's good things about this movie and certain things that are kind of dumb.
Yeah, I thought the like we said, the design it probably could have went more grotesque, but again, as a love story, it made him. We had compassion for him. We could. Okay. But at the same time, if the point is I'm supposed to see past the grotesqueness and see the the heart inside this beast, it was definitely wasn't the most original designs I've seen. It kind of looked like Guardians of the Galaxy character, but it worked for I think this story.
In general, I thought the actor was pretty good, and the cast in general was really great. I enjoyed Oscar Isaac as Baron Victor Frankenstein. Christoph Waltz was great as Doctor's financier, Henrik Harlander. And that was an interesting character that I don't believe is in the book. He's the one who finances this whole experiment. And he's a war profiteer, so he's basically making money to pay for this monstrosity through the deaths of people. Yeah. And it had me thinking the whole time, who is funding AI? It's military contractors and people who've made tons of money off of war profiteering, and they're creating this monster. They don't exactly know how it's going to behave and what the implications of that creation are going to be. His motive for this whole thing is to save himself from a horrid death because he had previously contracted syphilis.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about before on the podcast.
Now you can solve it with 2 shots to your butt of penicillin. But
back then it was like a death sentence. And not only a death sentence, the most terrible death.
You kind of rotted away. It was horrible. You go crazy and which is why he wants to put his brains into the Frankenstein monster, which Victor is against because syphilis got in your brain?
Because once the brain is infected, it doesn't really matter. The whole thing is. Right. But hey, maybe if you put the syphilis brain inside this mystical monster that heals itself, it'll just heal all the syphilis.
Maybe.
Or you'll have a big syphilis monster running around.
Oh, that's not great.
Mia Goth plays 2 roles. The Baron's younger brother's fiance, Lady Elizabeth Harlander, who is also Henrik's niece, and also she plays Frankenstein's mother, Baroness Claire Frankenstein, who dies during childbirth. I thought Mia Goth was like the most questionable casting choice in this movie, just because of my own preconceived notions of her as like a wailing lunatic in films. I didn't even realize Mia Goth is like actually British.
Oh,
I thought she was American.
No, I don't know.
And I was kind of like looking for the holes in her Victorian accent. I think she's the only person in the movie that's actually British. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So I think she did a pretty good job, although I did have trouble understanding her, so I had to use subtitles for some of her scenes.
What do you think about casting her as both his love interest as well as his mother?
I mean, the character of Baron Frankenstein is like a mama's boy. He's got daddy issues, and there's obviously a thing where like he loves this woman who's like his mom. He's also like a narcissist and a very unlikable character.
He loves milk. Loves drinking milk.
Lady Harlander is almost like a 19th century Lydia Dietz. She's like a post-Gothic era goth chick who's into bugs and creepy things. And much in line with Guillermo del Toro's previous film, The Shape of Water, there's a weird sexual tension between Lady Harlander, portrayed by Mia Goth, and the monster played by Jacob Elordi. She almost sleeps with her fiance's brother, and then she's in the basement like giving Frankenstein a rim job. Her actions are also questionable.
Yeah. I mean, she's just
this huge monster can barely talk, and she's practically like sucking on his nipples.
Nipple, Gary.
Single nipple. That's what happened to the second nipple. Mia Goth accidentally sucked it off. I was thinking, the whole problem, the whole Frankenstein problem is that he needs a companion, right? He storms up to the boat. He's, Victor, I want pussy. He kills, a dozen Danish navymen because he's horny.
Sure, okay.
He's a horny monster.
Okay.
This whole thing could have been solved with a fleshlight. Or don't give him a dick. You're making a 7-foot tall monster that can kill everyone. Don't give it a fucking dick.
I don't know if...
You think it'd be more mad if they didn't have a dick?
Yeah, right?
Wake up like, where's my penis?
Where's my dick? Yeah. Victor, make me a penis.
Yeah.
I don't know, eunuchs, I feel like they didn't have a good life after they had their eunuchs.
No, they're probably pretty easy to control.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
It's all speculative.
Yeah, I've never met someone who had a penis and then didn't have a penis.
Yeah.
That I know of. And then I didn't try to control them any time after that. So
Yeah. The conclusion of this film, Baron's at his brother and Lady Harlander's wedding, and the monster shows up. The monster has like this beautiful moment with Lady Harlander, and Baron Frankenstein attempts to shoot the monster and kills Mia Goth, who definitely would have fucked the monster.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And the monster's pretty pissed off about it. Like, he could have had some Mia Goth gash. Instead, he's running around Antarctica now, being chased by a legless man.
Yeah, that sucks.
Which is the most unbelievable part of the movie, that he actually gave Frankenstein a run for his money for a while.
Yeah, Frankenstein's
I'm pretty sure
unstoppable.
Frankenstein like beats him half to death, and then he chases him out into the Arctic. Frankenstein would just murder this dude in like a second.
An instant. It's also a tale about fatherhood, right? And
Sure.
so maybe, it's hard to kill your dad, even if you are Oedipus or whatever. And I think that definitely was my takeaway from this film. It was like a very father-mother, parental guidance and how that weighs on you. But the fatherhood thing of like...
It's about the cycle of abuse, too. It's like this guy has a bad father and is...
Intergenerational
and he becomes
trauma.
a bad father. And
Because the father... It's about being a father and wanting to prove to yourself you can brute force the creation of a successful person without putting in the love and time and understanding and caring that you need to actually make a successful person,
Yeah.
And so Victor's father, he's a hard ass, and he only cares about Victor's studies and doesn't really care about being around and making sure he grows up to be a good person. And then when his wife is pregnant, he just goes ahead and like does a C-section, probably killing the mother, but taking priority over the child because, again, he wants to prove out that he can bring a child, he can control creation. And so that's ultimately falls onto Victor, who kind of treats the creature the same way. He's like, I proved I can do it, now get in the basement.
it becomes like a shitty surrogate
shit.
father.
Yeah.
And the monster is like a blank slate. The monster's not good or bad.
Right. He's
it's
just, Victor, he only learns one word because Victor
yeah.
only takes the time to teach him the one word.
Yeah, it's a movie about fatherhood, and
Yeah.
that's what I wanted from a Frankenstein movie.
Right. Maybe. Is that not what you wanted? I think intergenerational trauma is something that is starting to be more prevalent in film that we can talk about because since the beginning of time, since man has been killing man and not treating our fellow person right, that shit has carried through barbarism through the ages.
Sure, and all that's fair and well enough. My issue with the movie is that I feel like Guillermo del Toro stripped a lot of the quirkiness and like the weirdness and the kind of uniqueness out of the story, and just kind of made it feel like any broad like Disney fairy tale type movie.
To create images is always a challenge. Digital magic.